Welcome to the 707, a weekly half-hour program produced by KRCB, a service of NorCal Public Media. The 707 features voices and stories from your community, stories that shine a light on our institutions, and stories that show how we are connected to each other. I'm your host, Michelle Marques, and I'm chatting today with Sonoma County's District Attorney, Carla Rodriguez. We're in her office at the Hall of Justice in Santa Rosa. She recently published her administration's first ever Report to the People, which explores her team's accomplishments in 2024 and strives to provide transparency to the community. You've put together an annual report to the people. What was the motivation for doing this?
I felt like as an elected official who was voted into office, I needed to just let the county know what I'm doing here at the DA's office, because the more I'm out there in the public, the more I realize people really don't know what a district attorney does. So I wanted to just put it all out there in a digestible format. So I hope I succeeded at that.
Nice. That's a coffee maker in the background there. I appreciate you making coffee here for us.
I hope you like your Fabio mug.
My Fabio mug is fabulous. Sorry. That might go on the cutting room floor. So this report, is it a summary of what you did last year? Can you describe sort of in general what this report does?
It's highlights from last year. So it's just a small representation of all the work we do here. We have so many divisions and units and types of cases that we handle. And I definitely told my staff, just because you're not in here doesn't mean you're not doing amazing work, because everyone here is doing amazing work.
And it is a pretty big department. Tell me about the size of it. How many people work here?
We have 147 full-time employees, and that doesn't include interns, law clerks. We have volunteers over at the Family Justice Center, but full-time employees, we have 147. Our budget's about $37 million, and 50 attorneys, not including the manager attorneys, myself included, so 56 if you include them. So we're busy. We're humming.
So how do you, and this is maybe just me projecting, but I think about attorneys as being smart and ambitious and maybe competitive. So how do you foster teamwork and collaboration here?
Everyone has their own caseload. So we have attorneys assigned to narcotics cases. We have attorneys assigned to sex assault cases. We have attorneys assigned to elder abuse. So within those units, they have to work as a team. And we got 15,000 police reports in 2024 that we had to read. We had to watch the body-worn video camera. We had to listen to the 911 call. So the volume is so high that we have to work together as a team. And then the mission is the same for everyone. We want to help victims and hold people accountable who break the law. So with that mission in mind, it's not really about ourselves. It's about working together, getting through the caseload, and providing justice to victims.
Tell me about some of the big cases. There are a few that are profiled here in this report. Can you maybe select one or two and tell me about them?
So the case involving Jose and Gina Centeno was a tragedy. It involved the Centenos, who adopted 3 children. They were toddlers when they were adopted, and over the course of over a decade, they started abusing the 3 children. One of the girls, Kaya, went missing, and she's never been seen again. So if you look at missing persons lists, Kaya is still there on that list. The 2 surviving brother and sister were essentially chained and locked up in an upstairs bedroom. The windows were boarded off. If they misbehaved, they were beaten. Eventually, Jose started sexually abusing the daughter for years, and it was just a horrific situation. For whatever reason, Jose took the children to Mexico, and they disclosed to someone there. And so authorities here in Sonoma County got a phone call from a person in Mexico saying, I think there's something really bad happening there. And the Roanoke Park police investigated, and the children were removed from the house. We charged them with kidnapping for financial gain. They were getting, money from the county for having these children, and just a horrific, couldn't be believed. The trial lasted over 6 weeks. My attorney who handled the case does child sex assault cases. She's always in trial because those cases have such a potential huge exposure. We're talking hundreds of years in prison. Those cases always go to trial. And I was actually very worried about my attorney, but she handled it amazingly well. The emotional toll that it took on the children who were so strong was incredible. But in the end, Jose was convicted. During the pendency of that trial, Gina died of a medical condition. And so it was just Jose that went to trial. He refused to come to court a lot, so there was an absent chair on the defense side of the bar. And I know the jurors had a really, really tough time. I mean, when you come to do jury duty, you don't know what you're going to see. And so I think it was just a huge event for everyone involved. I'm so proud of the victims. Apparently they're doing well, and they're moving forward in their lives. And I hope that knowing that Jose is going to be in prison for the rest of his life will help empower them to move forward.
That was such a hard case to read about, and just to think about the tragedy and these poor children.
Just in a house, suburban house in Roanoke Park, neighbors had no idea what was going on. Yeah, you just never know. Part of what we do here is we try to take care of each other because all of us handle cases that are emotionally taxing. We have victim advocates who worked with the victims in the Centeno case, and we want to take care of them because they, are emotionally impacted. We have 2 comfort dogs here at the office, and I'm pretty sure they provide comfort to the staff as much as they do to the victims. But I know that they help the Centeno victims a lot during the trial too.
So tell me, you've also got the Family Justice Center. Tell me about that.
So the Family Justice Center is a model that was created in San Diego. The concept is we want to reduce trauma to victims. If someone is a victim of a crime, and we're talking interpersonal violence, so domestic violence, stalking, elder abuse, we don't want them to have to make a report over and over and over again to get services. Because let's say you're a domestic violence victim, you need a place to live. Sometimes you leave with the clothes on your back. You need to get a restraining order so that this person doesn't come find you, or if they do come find you, that they're going to be held accountable. You need to go to legal aid. You need to go to Catholic Charities. And for a person to go and tell that story over and over and over again, it's just simply, it's traumatic, it's horrifying. And when you're in shock and you've just recovered from a crime, you don't have the bandwidth to move forward. You're in survival mode. We did a study before the Family Justice Center was built, and we determined that a victim here in Sonoma County would have to go to over 23 different organizations to just move forward and be safe. That was the impetus behind creating the Family Justice Center here in Sonoma County. If you're a victim and you go there, all services are free. You don't have to go to court. You don't have to make a police report. It's just about serving the victim. We have 2 navigators now who will meet with the victim, take all their information, and then refer them. We have Verity, which is a sexual assault organization. We have legal aid representatives. We have YWCA, which helps victims of domestic violence. We have VEST, Victim Empowered Support Team, which is also a group that works with domestic violence survivors. We have someone from Council on Aging. Our elder abuse population is the second most served population at the Family Justice Center. And then we have Ruthless Kindness. A lot of victims who have pets won't leave because of their pets. They're worried about their dogs. So Ruthless Kindness helps them. They do free vet services. They come and will groom the animals. So that's just a sample of the services that we have at the Family Justice Center. And then the Little Pet Project at the Family Justice Center, it's just a side project. It's not the main point, which is serving victims, is something called Camp Hope. And it's a model based on getting children out of the cycle of violence and helping children who witness violence. And so when we started, we had 8 campers. I think this is our 11th or 12th year of camp. 8 campers, all survivors of domestic violence or other abuse. This year we're sending 48 kids to Camp Hope. And it's wonderful, but at the same time it tells you there's 48 kids with a wait list who come from homes where they've witnessed domestic violence or other crimes. We take a hope score when they get to camp. We see how they're doing emotionally. And all week they're doing fun, regular camping activities that you would expect, whitewater rafting, games, etc. But every night they talk about how they're feeling and what's their hope score. And these kids bond because, it's hard to find other kids who experience what these kids experience at home. And at the end of that week, They do another hope score, and usually the scores go up astronomically. The kids go on, they have an 80% graduation rate from high school. They support each other all year long. We celebrate Thanksgiving with them. This year we did for Thanksgiving Panda Express because they love Panda Express, and I do too, so that made me happy. One boy, who I'll say his name is John, has been in Camp Hope since it started, and he's now an adult. He's now 18, so he's going to be a counselor, and he's going off to college, and it's just amazingly heartwarming. So that's just a side gig. And then Marcia Lucian, who's the executive director of the Family Justice Center, started the high-risk domestic violence team. There are domestic violence homicides here in Sonoma County. It happens. So she has got a grant, got some money, and is working with several law enforcement agencies, the probation department, VEST, which is the Victim Empowerment Support Team, and they're identifying high-risk domestic violence clients and trying to work with them to prevent a murder. So if there's a weapon involved, if there was strangulation involved, if there were death threats, if there's certain activities or behaviors in an abusive relationship, we'll flag it and try to make sure that they don't get killed. Yeah, it's very real.
I'll continue my conversation with DA Carla Rodriguez in the next segment of the 707 on KRCB.
KRCB is Sonoma County's NPR station, celebrating Sonoma County by featuring the voices, sounds, and culture that make our home unique. From the heartwarming tales of postcards, where residents share their perspectives.
It's been a wonderful day here at the Groundington Apple Fair.
To the Arts Brief series, shining a spotlight on the incredible youth in the arts scene.
My full name is June Zelda Grable, and I'm working with a Theater for Children on a production of Beauty and the Beast.
And Farm Tales, with the latest from local farmers, celebrating happenings on their farms and trends in California agriculture.
Our farm is called Monte Balauria, which means Mountain of Good Air in Italian. We now have more than 9 acres planted of lavender, about 35,000 plants.
KRCB is a journey into Sonoma County. This is more than radio. This is the voice of your community. Your stories, your station. KRCB 104.9, Sonoma County's NPR station.
Welcome back to the 707. I'm talking with Sonoma County District Attorney Carla Rodriguez. We're exploring topics in her just published Report to the People.
In this report, you talk about the different types of crimes. Can you talk a little bit about that, sort of how it's distributed? What's the majority and what are the more minor areas that you deal with?
We got 15,000 plus police reports in 2024. Once the 50 attorneys review all of those police reports, we filed about 10,700, so almost 11,000 cases. Of the almost 11,000 cases that we filed about 2,700 felonies. A felony means that you're looking at local prison or state prison. And then we filed basically 8,000 misdemeanor cases. We have 6 attorneys handling misdemeanor cases, and then we have many attorneys, the rest handling the felony cases. It's hard to categorize crime. So in my annual report, we did it by homicides, sex assault, domestic violence, property crimes, also very high. That includes car theft, auto theft, organized retail theft. We have weapons offenses. We handle those very seriously. There's a ghost gun issue everywhere, but here in Sonoma County, we have people printing out guns on their 3D printer in their basement. And then narcotics, which you and I know from our many discussions about the fentanyl epidemic. We handle those very seriously, and we do charge some cases as homicides involving fentanyl overdoses, and then other various assorted crimes. So that's the general breakdown.
Speaking of fentanyl, have we made any progress? Are you seeing less of these?
Well, so unfortunately, we had the tragedy of the 2 overdose deaths from the high school students. I think one went to Montgomery and one went to Santa Rosa High, and that happened in the last couple of months. And then we had 2 overdoses that were not fatalities, thank God. So if you look anecdotally, it's not getting better. But I have been reading that the overdose deaths are going down. I really want to think that my outreach efforts your efforts at bringing awareness to this, you interviewing all those mothers and girlfriends who had lost loved ones to fentanyl. I'd like to think that people are more aware. I know that Narcan is more readily available. I know that people are talking about Narcan. I know my kids know about Narcan. They're in high school. I keep Narcan in my car. So I'd like to think that the awareness is out there and that the stigma is reducing, that people feel more comfortable going to get treatment, going to try to kick their habits. But at the same time, then we have these deaths. So it's just a never-ending battle. And then at the same time, the people that distribute the drugs, the cartels, the local dealers, they're always coming up with new drugs. There already are drugs that are more powerful than fentanyl that are out there now that may be Narcan. It's not Narcan resistant, but that Narcan can't counteract. It's just a never-ending problem that we have to worry about.
Where are your challenges?
My challenges are, I think, money, always. We need more attorneys. We need more investigators. And then technology is a huge issue. Back in the day when I started here in the late 90s, you get a police report, you get a rap sheet, and that's what you looked at to file a criminal case. Now it's body-worn cameras. So let's say you have a driving under the influence case. It used to just be a rap sheet and a police report. Now you have possibly 5 officers at various points wearing body-worn cameras. You have maybe a 911 call. You have a toxicology report. But just the huge amount of data that's out there now, mainly with the body-worn cameras, is just very hard to control and handle and review. So we've taken steps to improve how we get data from the police agencies, how we store that data, how we review the data, and then how we share that data with the defense attorneys, because we give everything to the defense. So that's been challenging. We've started a new technology within the past few months called Axon Justice, which helps us store everything. We have unlimited storage. Every body-worn video that we get now is immediately transcribed on the side of the screen. So if we have to play a body-worn in court, we don't have to spend 10 hours transcribing that video. We can redact stuff in and out of the video. My goal with the data, though, is, and this is one of my campaign promises, is to have a data dashboard on our website, and we're working towards that. So basically showing to the public, here are the police reports we've received, here's the police agency, here's the charge, here's what we actually filed, if we did file, here's who we diverted. Just trying to be more data transparent to the public. So that's my big goal for 2025. So hopefully if I do a report next year, and I will do an annual report next year, hopefully my data dashboard will be proudly displayed in that report.
How do you feel you are doing on building trust with the community?
It ebbs and flows. In the paper yesterday was the case of David Pelayo Chavez, tragic case where he was shot by sheriffs. And I did not file criminal charges against the sheriffs. And, you know, I have a job where I have to, the law is my sole guide, the law, and then what is just. So my gut. And, you know, I would love to please everyone in my job, but I'm not going to. Cases like that are tough. However, we're really trying to reach out to our underserved population, our BIPOC population. We had a couple grants last year serving homeless, underserved. We had some grants for our Victim Services Division designed solely to provide services to immigrant communities or other communities that maybe don't trust police as much. My Victim Services Division engages in a lot of outreach. Most of our victim services advocates are bilingual. So we really are trying to let the community know that we're here to serve them. We don't care what your immigration status is. We don't care what your paperwork status is. Are you documented, not documented? We're here to serve victims of crime regardless of anything else. We do provide U visas to victims, which is basically a immigration service if someone is a victim of a crime. Unfortunately, you know, I think with the current administration, I think people are just terrified to give their name and data to anyone. We'll see if the numbers drop in terms of people making police reports. We'll see if numbers drop at the Family Justice Center. They haven't yet. But there's nothing I can do about the current administration and the fear that's out there. But all I can do is just try to be out in the public as much as possible and tell people we're here to serve you. We don't care what your status is.
Can you comment about the recent incident of ICE being here and picking up someone?
Well, they were at probation, and I know Vanessa Fuchs, who's the chief probation officer, did a lot of research to find out like what happened and how it happened. I do think that mainly they reach out to the jail, and the jail either will or will not, share data depending on what their policy is and what the crime is that the person committed. But no, I just tell my staff we serve the public, but no one's coming past our doors in terms of we have very clearly signed entrances. This area is public. This area is not open to the public. If ICE does come here, I've advised my investigators to talk to them and have them wait in the lobby. We're not going to interfere or obstruct with ICE because that's against the law. We're going to follow the law, but neither are we going to go out of our way to provide information. I've read all the laws. I know what the California laws are. I know what the federal laws are. So we're just going to use the law as our beacon, but not do anything to harm our victims or our witnesses who may be the subject of ICE.
The full report to the people is on the District Attorney's website. I'm your host and producer of this program, Michelle Marques. Email topic and guest suggestions to the707@krcb.org. This show is a service of NorCal Public Media. Our president and CEO is Darren Lachelle.